Oh, there, yeah. So, I mean, it's just been happening so much lately that honestly, I don't even wear belts anymore. I wear these elastic bands around my waist now because I can't get my pants down fast enough. Like I would run to the bathroom and I would try and mess with the belt, and then it would just start coming out right away, and I'd ruin pants. So I just wear elastic bands, and it's so I could take my pants down like right when I run to the bathroom. I could take my pants down right away. It's like 25 to 30 times a day. It's really, really, really bad.
Sounds like you could power an Esper with that.
Well, possibly. Oh, whoa, hey, we're live. Disregard that, guys. I don't think they heard anything. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. I see everybody is in here already. We have Chris Cartea. Hey, what's up, Chris? I know you had a run in with my nephew Kyle. I apologize for that. You know, I didn't want to bring it up. He's always watching. Rigel Star, hey, what's going on, Rigel? Good to see you. NorCal Nerf Club, American Foam, Boom Tendo, the Boom Friendo, Luchathor, thank you so much. Luchathor sent me a Raven today and some Kraken motors, also a switch plate and a magazine. I think it was an 18-round mag. Thank you so much. That was so cool, dude. That was really, really, really nice of you. NerfTurfBattle is here as well, and Mickey James and Maddie Barker. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it. We're here with interview series number 21. We're at 21 already. This interview series is able to buy beer now, which is it's legal, so we could party. But thank you so much. First off, before we get started, I do want to throw some shout outs out to my patrons. I have my tier 3 patrons who get shout outs 3 times a month, and their links are all going to be in the description below. So I want to give a shout out to the Multimedia Company, also American Foam, BiggsNZ, NerfTurfBattle, Newport Nerfer113, and Slaedur. Thank you guys so much for being the tier 3 patrons. I really appreciate all your support. You guys help me get lights, cameras, action. Hello. Anyways, I'm here. I'm coming over a cold. Well, I'm not coming over one. I'm literally in the middle of one. I got sick. My roommates are sick. They got me sick. The place that I work, the VA, people are sick there all day. A bunch of sick veterans. You know, here at the church, people are sick. I had sick people all around me. Finally, it got me. So I'm a bit sick now, too. You can probably hear it in my voice. It probably sounds raspy and sexy. Yeah. But I'm going to power through this because this is really important to me because of you, the viewers. You guys are awesome. And also, my guest today couldn't do it except for today because he's such a busy guy. This guy is, he's got a lot on his plate. I want to introduce to you my guest today is Beret, who sometimes wears a beret. What's up, Beret?
Hello, it's Brett here. How's it going, everyone? I think I'm able to follow the chat now. I don't know. My phone is fighting me. I'll try.
Well, they were talking really bad about you there, so I don't know if you'll want to.
That's good. I don't do anything good, so as long as people can put me in my place, that's important.
Oh man, they always put me in my place. So, how this interview series works, if you guys are new to this series, a lot of you have been here before, but if you guys want to ask questions to Beret, who sometimes wears a Bret, make sure that you put the question in the chat and put at Broke Nerfing, you know, the at symbol here. If you guys don't know the at symbol, I'll show you. At Broke Nerfing, and spell it like my name is on the channel, Broke Space Nerfing, and then ask your question. That way, lighted and I could see it. Sometimes the chat moves pretty fast, and it's hard to keep up with the questions if you guys don't put the at symbol in there. So please, 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 I implore you to at me, brah. Okay, and that way I will see it and I won't miss it. And if you do at me and I don't see it, it's probably because I'm ignoring you because you've offended me in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that's about it. Are you ready there, Beret?
No.
All right, we're gonna wait for a little bit. Let's just wait, guys.
I say we
And we're
call it
not
all
gonna
off.
say any. We're not gonna say anything. We're just gonna wait here until he's ready to go. Okay, let's just sit in silence.
Ah,
This is a good pop. I think someone spit in this.
this banana tastes terrible.
Did you get a banana just for this stream?
I gotta say, I heard recently there were some. I have some folks at work who are also sick, but I heard recently that there was like a small measles outbreak at one of
Oh,
our local basketball games. That was fun.
measles.
So at least you didn't get measles.
I don't think I've ever had the measles. I don't even know what the
I think you'd
measles
remember
do.
if you had measles.
Well, I think I've had polio. So are you ready to rock here?
All right, let's go.
All right. So we got some questions already. But first, I'm going to ask my first question. So where are you from? You're from, correct me if I'm wrong, you're from Coco County, right?
Coco County. I'm not, is that an acronym? Is that
Contra
an actual?
Costa County.
Oh, I have never heard someone call it that before.
What?
Maybe I'm not from there before.
Really? That's like, oh man. Oh,
Never heard
maybe,
that. Nope, I
maybe
guess
that's,
I'm not from there, I guess.
I guess
Yes,
you
I
never
am.
did time.
I am from Contra Costa County. From
Yeah,
the Bay
that
Area,
kind. Yeah,
California. Well, I learned something today. That I was not expecting to learn something like that today.
that.
Weird.
Yeah, that's really how people
That is
pronounce it. Coco County. Yeah.
really. No, I've never heard that before. Okay. Anyhow, yes, that's where I'm from. Born and raised, basically, my whole life through high school, and then came out to Portland, Oregon for school, and then have stayed in the greater Portland area since graduating college in 2016.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what brought you out there because I've noticed a lot of people from Contra Costa, they generally stay in Contra Costa. So yeah,
I've noticed
that
some of that.
surprised me.
Well,
Surprised me when I found out.
if I had known that the NERF scene would have looked like what it did today, I may have considered otherwise. However, we can't go back and change that. So we just live with what we got. But it was very different back then in our immediate area. And now it's not.
Mm. We got
Anyhow,
yeah,
that's where I'm from.
we got Maddie
Coco County.
Barker. Maddie Barker's asking, what's your favorite worst blaster? Your favorite worst blaster? Is that like a blaster? What's your favorite blaster that other people think is garbo?
I guess that's the question. This is,
Well,
I mean, that was really quick. Get to that point. This is a tough one because what would people consider as a worst blaster? Like even nowadays when we hold like awful rounds, because awfuls used to be like reactor balls are probably awful. The pulsator, uh, stuff that just barely fires. And now when people think awfuls, they're like, oh, so the deploy, right? And like, well, the deploy still shoots like at least 20 feet. I mean, like all the reverse plunger blasters shoot at least like a decent distance compared to what we used to call awfuls. So as far as something maybe right now that would appeal to what a lot of folks see as awful or just bad, I think the Battle Scout is not too bad. It actually, can hold its own because it does have that clip is not the best thing ever, obviously, and it's quite universally panned for its proprietariness. But it still it still works. It still fires. I don't know if people just had really bad versions of the original one, but my original one was okay. I mean, obviously, yeah, it sucks that you may not get another one uh, with that initial purchase, or you couldn't purchase another one, like another clip. but it still was able to shoot like further than old end strike blasters. So I found that to be okay. Now, at the price of the original Battle Scout, like $70 just for like including the camera, that's no good. But when you started seeing them for like half the price, I was like, yeah. And now I have like 6 clips for the Battle Scout. So can't all be bad, right? I made it work. So I'll go with the Battle Scout.
Right on. You know what? My best worst one, I guess, is the brain saw. I like that blaster. It's just like a rough cut. I like rough cuts, but I don't know. I think it looks really freaking cool,
I
man.
haven't.
It's a
I'm
cool
sad I
looking
haven't
blaster.
gotten to use that one so much, and I have heard that because I got a rough cut when they first came out, and I still have, I think, my original, unless I just gave it away. But I remember that when the brain saw came out, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a one shot at a time, right? And it's got the same number of barrels though as a rough cut. But I
Yes.
believe I remember that by the time you get to the last couple, the brain saw was just really lacking. And that was something that really grinded people's gears almost as much as the screwdriver handle, the pump. I don't know, but I mean that's a preference as well.
Yeah,
I have wanted to use that though, where I can maybe get close to someone and chainsaw them, but obviously there's a lot of plastic up
definitely
there.
is.
So,
You might poke an eye out.
yep, I mean that's the goal. I just haven't gotten away with it yet.
So, how did you get into this hobby?
It's a good question. So, back in back in middle school, I was just scouring my local Target, and I think I convinced my parents to pick up the N Strike Unity system because I mean, it was just like the biggest thing there that caught my attention. I'd seen the Nerf commercials at that time, but I didn't own anything yet, and so that appealed to me. And I was like, "Oh, can I get this? It's like 3 blasters, and so I can play with a couple different ones. I'm not gonna ask for more." So I got that. And it came with a DVD as well. This is an old, not even like the Wii game one, but it's another one. I brought it with me. I still have it. I need to watch it and comment on it. But I played that for a while and I got really excited. And then my friend Kyle, who you may know, he came to me and said that we were throwing a surprise party for one of our friends, and it was going to be a Nerf surprise party. And so we got some stuff together, and we went to his friend's house, and that's when I started seeing other people with their different blasters. And I was like, what year was this? I mean, so the most advanced thing I saw there really was like the Recon. That was the newest tech on the field. Like, there were 2 blasters that took magazines, the long shot and the Recon. So I was looking at these like, whoa, and the Mag Strike was the best surprise blaster that we had, along with the Rapid Fire 20. And after we surprised him, we all kind of just went out into this big field and we just shot at like 4-on-4, like played tag with each other. I had 2 Mavericks in my hand, and when I was out of one, I threw the other one behind me, and someone reloaded it and gave it to me, and I kept it going. And from that day forth, it just kind of that was September, I think, of what 2013,
Oh wow.
and then from there it just escalated. The 2 of us really were the big like organizers. We were always looking for places around our local town to see like, oh, maybe we could play here and maybe we could do this. And we were always looking at the new stuff coming out. And so like, oh, here comes the Raider. Oh, here's the Stampede. That's wrong order. Stampede was first, but we were the ones who started acquiring all the stuff. And then we would host the games and get maybe like 8 people. So we didn't have like giant games, but we were always the ones who were like, we'd play and we would research, and we just didn't notice that there were any other games in our area. So in a sense, we kind of trained for the Nerf combat life, but we mostly did, like out of fun. We found that our pistols were the most powerful and the easiest to upgrade. And then high school, kind of saw the end of that as Kyle stayed in Davis, where he went to school in Davis, and so he stayed in California, and I went up to Portland, and he found a massive, the HVZ scene of
Yeah.
college, and I found nothing. I found the challenge of trying to start a Nerf club on a college campus that actively resisted, despite everything we told them and proved to them existed elsewhere, and they would not have it. So there were other enthusiasts people there, but not in the same vein. And I lived vicariously kind of through others' videos at that time, which is part of the reason like I do what I do now, is because I'm like, well, I totally relate to people who can't go to games because I I had a dry spell of my own, and then some of those first years of college, I'd come back and Kyle's like, "Oh, we got a game. There's a game here if you want to come." And I'm like, "Yes, please." Or I'd go down to Davis for like one night of HVZ, and that was how that went. So I
Yeah.
guess going back to your original point, because I've given you more history beyond, but it was really just like local areas, just a couple of friends, and we started playing. We investigated more of our local parks and found cool spots outside where maybe we didn't have the most powerful stuff, but we made fun games, came up with fun game ideas, night, day. We kind of tried a bunch of different stuff, and it was really fun to have really like a big backyard that was mostly unexplored, where we could really just make our own stuff. And one being like a open spot of land that had a bunch of irrigation tubes big enough for us to climb through, where we actually weeded out the whole place and stacked these up as not only like fortifications, but things we could climb on and then climb inside. And so we made almost like our own paintball fields from that. And now when I come home, that's people live there, like houses are there, the place is demolished,
Oh,
so it's
I thought you
really
were talking about
weird.
like
Yeah,
homeless
I
people,
was
like
gonna
hobos.
that's what it kind of sounded like. Yeah, the homeless are there, so we just have a nice little HVZ game. It's fine, they love it.
I would,
We pay
yeah.
them for their service. Yeah, it's great.
There you go. Shoot, they could be zombies.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyhow, that's kind of how it started. It was just friends in middle school, and then we took an interest in it, and I never really lost that spark, because every year it kind of got cooler, and every year I'd see more stuff online, and there'd be, like obviously the blasters have never gotten lamer. They've always gotten like more and more crazy, and that's always brought more people in.
Yeah,
And if
from
they
the looks
haven't,
of it.
you look back and you're like, oh wait, what about what we can do to this now? And so suddenly, you bring new life into an old project, and you're back in it. That's what some people I've heard. They're like, oh, I was kind of out of it for a while, but then I saw this came out, and it's like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my origin story, I guess. It's been a little
Right
over
on,
10 years
man.
now.
10 years? Yeah, that's wow. And you're talking about Kyle H, right? Kyle
I
Hyun,
am talking about
or
Kyle.
Hyun.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, he's here he's here like every month for Nerf night, and
Yep.
yeah,
He
I see him
goes
all the time, man.
he goes to everything, and yes, I am jealous of him sometimes, especially when it was him being able to kind of grow the groups, like in Davis, or I mean they already had a decent sized group, but like he could play every single week because they would have weekly games at Davis, and I'm like, yeah, public safety came and shut down our previous game because they didn't want us playing, so I guess we don't have Nerf this week. But I'll try talking to the school next Thursday and see if they'll kind of budge. They just didn't want us to organize, which is the weirdest thing. They're like, we're fine if like 5 people go outside and start playing, but we don't want you to organize. And I'm like,
What?
but wouldn't you want us to regulate games like that so
Yeah,
they don't just start popping up? And especially
exactly.
now, there's just more and more Nerf stuff out there. And like, don't you want a group to kind of exist where we can say, hey, here are our rules and regulations so you don't do this? Because it's now more important than ever. So I never totally understood it, but obviously the school has the final say in that.
So I've looked on your channel, like I
Oh,
noticed that
don't do that.
I noticed you have gameplay footage from like 2016 or maybe even
Hmm.
farther back than that.
That's
Is
probably what I was
that's
referring to. Yep.
yeah, I was just gonna ask, is that's what you're referring to when you and
We've
Kyle and
got
them were getting
some
together?
we've got some cool locations there. It's I'm not 100% ashamed of like the footage from the past. Obviously, the quality has improved a little bit over time, but that's just the gear that you get.
Yeah.
I was really enthusiastic when I was finally able to capture some of the footage, and that's when like I didn't really like try making videos back then for the sake of like, oh hey, guys should see this, because obviously, again, like we were talking about earlier, gameplay footage is not something that people are dying to see from all corners of the earth when it comes to Nerf. So that was more of just like, hey, for the people who were there, or maybe our friends who weren't able to attend, this is what happened. So you should come next time. It was much more of a like keep it local thing. But I mean, I had a place where I would work on it, and yeah, some of those places were very fond memories of
Yeah.
those spots. I really did have an amazing opportunity with the places around, from some trees and shrubs, and then our favorite place was just this hill. I meant to kind of get some footage of it when I was back in December, but I didn't have time. It's right near Kyle's house, and it's just kind of like three different levels of a hill with really big storm drains in between that you can kind of crawl in.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, it's like there's some good cover.
Yeah.
There's some space that you can't see from like one side to the other, so it actually takes a bit to get there.
Oh,
We've played there.
I've seen that footage. I've seen that place on Kyle's channel.
Yep, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I've seen Imperial Nerf. On who's on my BTA team. He was
hmm
actually in some of the footage too, because I remember the storm drains, dude. That's exactly where they were.
Oh man, they went back there. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
That's our
pretty sure
spot.
it
You
was
can't
there.
go there, Kyle. That's our spot.
He's cheating on you,
I
man.
know. Bummer. But yeah, still my favorite place, what we called the Rebel Base, which was this section of land that was on the other side of a bridge that had basically been put on hold. Like the project to complete it was put on hold, so it just had all this large irrigation tubing left over. And I probably have like 3 videos from it because we went there 3 different times for games. But I spent weeks, like over the course of some weekends, just going there, and I'd like rake things away. And we made the field our own, and you can't do that everywhere on an outside area. But we just had this perfect opportunity, like this little bit of time when nothing was happening here, and we would just able to do anything we wanted. It was just off the road, and yeah, it was really cool. And so I have a lot of fond memories from back
Yeah,
there. And that was, I guess, where my experience comes from. So Kyle's a good player. I'm a good player, right? It all originated from this one area, right? Right. There's a little, you know, the secret to being a good nerfer or something. That's where it's from. But yeah, I mean, we just played for so long, like we finally got a hang for like, oh, how do you dodge darts? And well, I know what you're shooting at me, so I'm going to rush straight at you because you're not going to hit me. So
yeah,
good time.
yeah.
So
That's
when
really
when
cool.
more of this stuff came around, we're like, okay, that'd be fun to play with more people. And then they're seeing like, oh, you guys are quick. You guys are annoying, actually. It's like, yes, because we've been waiting for this for so long.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really cool that you guys have been working at that. Working on your kind of your skills, honing your skills for quite a while.
hmm
Prepping for this whole this whole climate now of competitive Nerf, HVZ, and all these other games that are popping up all over the place now. So you kind
Oh
of
yeah.
you're a bit ahead of the game, which I think is really cool. Um, I also wanted to know about a little bit about your channel too. I saw that it was all gameplay footage, and it was kind of gradually improving throughout each video. And then it wasn't until about over a year ago, I say 2017, we started changing things into more of reviews, more of in front of the camera talking type stuff, and kind of
Yep.
getting your different series, starting your series on WikiHow, and I'd run that.
hmm
So how did that change come about from going from just throwing up footage because you have it and you want to show people to actually getting in front of the camera and bringing us this different kind of content?
And there was a time kind of in the midst of all that. I want to say it was maybe 2011 where I tried a couple of videos, actually, like me talking to a camera. Now, I remember at least one of them was the differences between, or must have been 2012, the differences between the Recon and the Retaliator when it first came out.
Mm,
And I kind of looked and I was like, well, wait a minute, because I like I made a video, and I was I wanted to be like Coop was, I think, still making videos at the time. I don't think he was this was before his change or after. I honestly don't remember. But Drac was making stuff, and I was like, well, I think I want to do that. That seems like a fun thing to do. And I recorded this kind of video and was like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. I don't want to put myself out there. And so I deleted those. And so then we come, yeah, so much later, because for a long time, yes, I enjoyed doing like the gameplay stuff. I liked sharing just kind of what we were doing in our area, because I thought it was cool that we'd go to so many different spots. It didn't really get, and I felt like, I was able to kind of play with a bunch of different blasters, therefore it was a little bit different every time as well. And then, yeah, in 2017, it changed a little bit. And I think the big change that came about from there is because, so then after college, I finally was like reaching out, like, okay, I give up on this place. Like my senior year, I'm gonna find people around the area, maybe who are into Nerf, and I started finding them. And then in 2016, in the summer of 2016, we finally had a game that involved people from Washington and Oregon meeting up. I found some more people in Oregon first that I played with, but then I found out there were more people in Washington. So we had our first big Pacific Northwest war in the summer of 2016, which is where I first met Wacom. And that's when Chelo first showed up, but before he had a channel. And we were obviously all kind of like looking at each other's stuff, like, oh, this is cool, this is cool. And I was like, hey, Wacom, like, you probably don't know me, but you're Power Strike 48. Yeah, that's my friend Kyle's. He sent it to you. I have the other one, pretty much. And I started hanging out with them more, because I was interested in what they were doing, and I I kind of got inspired by, like, their video making process. I was watching sometimes when Wacom would record videos, and when Chelo maybe started doing some of his first stuff or just appearing in them, I was like, this does seem kind of fun. We'll see. I'm still not sure. I don't really want to do this necessarily. Um, but then I decided, maybe blaster stuff. Like I was seeing some new things on the shelves and wasn't sure if people had reviewed them yet. And so I think one of my big first ones was I picked up the Alien Menace Voidcaster. I think that was like my first big review where I decided like to kind of get in front of a camera and do it. Because I was like, oh, maybe this could be exclusive. Like, we'll just see what happens, like, and try a review style. Because I did some stuff way back when, but maybe I'll try it again. And so I did that, and I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of cool. I'd actually had the beret for a bit in case this comes up later. I had donned the beret in like 2013 to use at games as kind of a like an identifier. It was actually at Nobicon Games, and I was like, oh, let's do that, because my channel was a different name at that point, and I was like, let's rebrand to Beret because it sounds like Brett. And so I'd once written my name as Brett and just crossed out a few things, and you add it, and you're like, oh, it's Beret, like easy, makes sense. That's why it's like it's not too complicated, but it's better than just a random word and then numbers. I didn't
Yeah.
like that. Let's do that. So I went with that, and then I was like, yeah, maybe we'll try a couple reviews. Like, there's some blasters I'm curious about. Maybe we'll make reviews on them just to kind of put out there, so in case people search for them, they can know, because I don't see anyone else doing this. So I'll try that. And that was, again, just review style, is trying to find a different way to present stuff, but kind of looking back on what I'd seen other people do in person now and then online. And then I was like, well, you know what? I have some gameplay footage I'm still sharing. So through that time, like through some of our new games, I was recording some gameplay footage, and some stuff that was through college as well. I did, yeah, skip over some of that, but the few things that we did have, I did have footage from my GoPro Hero 2. And then I was like, you know what? The big thing I think that changed it was when I was like, well, the big thing that changed it was when I made the Sax BZ. That's when things kind of changed, because I made that blaster, I made the saxophone, and then I donned the outfit,
Mm-hmm.
and then I decided I was inspired by another Bay Area tradition, which was Rocket Quest, and I decided, you know what, we're gonna do Sax Quest. I'm gonna use this at least once per game, and I'm gonna tag people. I'm gonna record it on a monthly basis, and it's gonna just kind of be fun. And that was kind of like a big inspiration for a lot of what you see now, like choosing loadouts, because it was just goofy fun, and the fact that the saxophone man is running at you with the sax BZ and trying to tag you with a rocket launcher from his saxophone. I was like, yeah, that sounds like something I want to do. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
also just like, not necessarily. I'm kind of putting myself out there, but I'm still in costume, in a way, and so that was a big inspiration for me, and I think that's when things really changed.
Okay.
Sax Quest.
It's funny. I mentioned, because some people ask me, like people who are just starting on YouTube, which I'm basically just starting on YouTube, but
Hmm.
people ask me they ask me for advice on how to, gain subscribers, gain attention. And I always bring it back to you. I say, do something different. I think would probably be the best way to go about it. I say, look at someone like Beret. He has something unique to his channel, unique to his brand. No one else is doing the wiki hows, doing the,
Hmm.
letting the viewers interactively choose loadouts. I said, do something that no one else is doing, and set yourself apart. And I think that's really good. It's something that you do. You have unique content that's not just reviews here and gameplay here. It's some actual unique stuff, and I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too. And I mean, I'm trying not to take up all the time with this one, but and it's weird because part of like the reason doing that is like, okay, I dabbled a little bit into like reviewing new blasters and stuff, and like I could have brought you a review of the Shadow ICS-6 before the year ended, like before 2008 and before 2018 ended, but I was like, I don't want to because I don't care. That's like not what I'm going for because I don't really care about doing blaster reviews necessarily. If someone sends me a free thing, apparently I'll review that.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll talk about that at a different time. So, um, I was like, well, that's not what I enjoy as much. But also, it's because I see other people are doing it really well. And while I appreciate other people doing reviews, because sometimes you notice things in different reviews, so
Yes.
it's like that is a good thing. And when people are like, well, I want to do reviews, and part of me says, well, don't because some other people do it really well, and you don't need to because their reviews are going to be higher quality already because they've got their format. In the same way, it's like, well, if you approach it from a different perspective and you kind of bring that up, that is different, and that's actually very useful. So it's a difference of saying, hey, I just got this in package. Check it out. Here are the FPS readings. That is a style of review. Another style of review is getting a blaster, giving it to 15, 8-year-olds, having them play with it for a month, and then coming back and saying, yeah, this took a beating and it's still working. I give this an A plus versus, not touching it except for that one time during the review. It's different, but it's also very interesting to see it from that perspective. Like I like watching Detroit Dark Talk, or I listen to Detroit Dark Talk, watching Detroit Dark Club because that's kind of an angle where he gets all the stuff, and then the test is, well, how does it actually hold up when people are using it nonstop, or people who don't know how to operate blasters all the time, which is a very different perspective than some of us might come into it, because we might look at it and say, I like those internals, and others are like, I like that it works. And that's very different, and for the modding community, it could be anyone's guess as to what sticks. So yeah, that is definitely one way to look at it. But also, yeah, I agree. Finding something that's unique, but also speaks to you, because like I said, I'd considered making videos for a long, long time now. Right? If
Yeah.
the first stuff I recorded was over 5 years ago, it's been on my mind before, and
Hmm.
I tabled it because I was like, you know what, this isn't for me right now. And then I found what I wanted to do, and I've seen it evolve over time. And here we are today, where it's like, okay, I'm really happy with where I'm at right now. I have a couple of things I really enjoy doing. They're fun. That's exactly what I've always kind of been interested with Nerf for, fun stuff. And I now get to just share it with other people. My weird, goofy humor. I always like making people laugh, so that is the goal. And then yeah, just kind of sharing some gameplay footage, but also just sharing the ridiculousness that is this fun-loving hobby, and every now and then, finding some innovation stuff to mix it up too. It's yeah, my style is kind of all over the place when it comes to what does my average video look like, but I just do what I enjoy, and yeah, that's what I wouldn't take away for anything else.
Yeah.
So really, yeah, for people who are wondering, like, oh, I wonder what I should do. It's like, no, you should figure that out first, because people will people will latch on if they see that you are passionate about what you're doing. And if you're just trying to fish for ideas from other people, that's not probably going to work. Find what makes you happy first, and then if you show that you really, really care about that, then other people, if they also seem to, if they like Nerf, because if they like paintball or airsoft and they come and comment, oh, why not play airsoft? Then obviously it's not going to work. But
Yeah.
if they also are interested, then they'll be like, oh, I like this. This is good. So that's my
Oh,
spiel. Put it
oh
on a
yeah.
business card, a really long business card.
Oh, well said. Yeah. You should, if someone's going to make videos, they should definitely have a passion for it. And I mean, I've seen people say, "Oh, I want to get free stuff. So I'm going to
Hmm.
start making videos." And if you're just looking to get free things, that's not even how it works. You're not just going to put a video up and then message companies like, "Hey, I got a channel now. Want to send me stuff?" No.
I have, and yeah, on the free stuff, I've we talked about this one earlier too.
Yeah,
Although the free, it's a curse and a blessing though,
it
because
is.
for someone like me, it is tricky because you have to figure out how to make that work. Because I do care about using that stuff in a game because that's what would matter to me. Like, does it perform? Does it? I mean, because obviously for me, perform just means does it not break? Um,
Mhm.
but if you're like a review channel and you're getting stuff, that is perfect. Like that is awesome. And that's maybe what you want to do and makes sense. For me, it's like, well, I need to go to a game so I can test stuff. And the only thing I've ever actually asked for is not within arm's reach. Is that new grenade, the version 2, the one that's kind of like got a time delay on it.
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah,
yellow
yeah.
and gray. This is the only thing I've ever actually asked for as soon as I saw that it was released. And I was like, hey, can you send this to me? Because I'm really interested in it. Because I think it
Mhm.
could actually replace the need to throw it if you can just have a time delay on it. And it arrived broken.
That's funny that you say that. The only thing that
Killed
I
me.
asked for was the flash grenade when NF Strike brought out those
Mm,
flash bombs. I
that's
asked for
right.
one of those. They sent me one with their new translucent grenades, and they sent me the flash one. And I was going to do a special video about both of these things, but they sent it without the battery. And I've been trying to
Oh,
get a battery sent to me, and it's supposed to come with the battery. It says
right.
right in
It's
it.
a special little. It's a tiny lipo, right?
Yeah, it's a tiny
Very, very
lipo.
tiny one.
It's supposed to come with it. It didn't come with it, and I have and they still haven't sent me the lipo, so it's still sitting there in the box,
And so
waiting.
there's a lesson to be learned from this, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
yeah, I
know.
mean, it comes in time. I mean, some things are cool and some aren't, and yeah, I've definitely learned on like what I actually want. And sometimes, sometimes it's like, no, you know what, I'm actually not interested in that. Thank you for offering though. Because yeah, I definitely got overwhelmed by the end of this last year with just saying, "Oh, sure, I'll look at that," because I wasn't in the right kind of mind to do that, like other people were, because more people who were doing those kinds of reviews had channels that were like more geared towards reviews, I want to say, or they had their format for reviews. I don't have a chronograph for for blasters and stuff. That makes no sense. Like I should at least be
Yeah.
able to give some numbers or have a modding table. I don't have a modding table here. Like I have decided that what matters to me on space is getting like blasters and the gear stuff. So it makes very little sense for me to get like a lot of stuff from the ground up and have to build it and then review it when I can't do that. So it's not fair for people like watching that, I feel. Unless I go to someone else's house and do it and blah blah blah. Blah. But can't always
Hmm.
do that.
Absolutely.
Anyhow, yeah, that's the stuff.
So I'm going to take a couple more questions from the chat here.
Actual questions. That's right. I'll only take 25 minutes to answer this time. How's that?
There you go. We're gonna take it down a few minutes each time, guys. Okay. So PKL Nerf Pickle Nerf is asking, what are your favorite things to do besides nerfing, playing with blasters, modding, whatnot? What are your favorite things to do aside from the hobby?
What do I like doing? Well, I am an Eagle Scout, so I did always love to go outside and go hiking. I haven't gotten to do that as much ironically here, and that's not because we have nothing here in Oregon. We have amazing places to
I would have think
camp
so.
and
Yeah.
hike outside in Oregon. It's me. I'm lazy. Or can I blame my girlfriend? I feel like I should blame her. She doesn't like to do that all the time. Therefore,
Well, my girlfriend loves hiking, so the fact that I don't is just laziness.
she's not here, so I'm gonna go with that one. Um, we go on hikes every now and then. There's some great places to go outside, but I like kayaking too. I don't get to do that very often, but I love kayaking. If I had to choose an on the water sport, I love doing that.
Well,
Versus swimming. Uh, Rock climbing has also been fun. I do enjoy that one. Bouldering, we've gotten to do a little bit more bouldering here, and some indoor places. So those have been fun activities. Recently, I've just been doing a lot of days in with friends, and we'll play card games or board games. That's been a big one with the weather being so rainy. Just
now
keeping it easy. Or bowling. I do like some bowling. I finally got a high score of 211 recently, so I was happy about that.
you're not into video games?
So I haven't played video games for a long time, and that is a weird thing
For someone
to
your
think
age?
about. I know it is weird, and we have about 6 or 7 consoles out there that are. I'm pointing to the wall, like behind me. They're like old school stuff. That's like super fun. Like I have my Genesis out there. We've got an
Oh,
N64, PS2, 360. I mean, I guess those are the newest things, but we've got some older things. And I
yeah.
haven't even played those recently since I moved to this new spot since summer. The last time I played like a video game was maybe at End War as well. Just playing Smash Bros with some other folks before flying home. And it's not that I don't like them because I keep up with new things that are coming out, but I just haven't found. I don't know what it is. I think I've just watched more stuff, like maybe things on YouTube or Netflix. I'm a really big movie junkie. I guess that's one of my hobbies. I do like seeing movies. But yeah, video games have really not been a part of my life. Online, like online gaming, or literally just any gaming recently, and it does feel weird. It does
Mhm.
feel weird.
I'm a huge gamer. I actually back in like '06, I had a gaming channel on YouTube when YouTube first was like kind of a first starting out. I was
I
doing
did
like
see you post about that. Yeah.
yeah, I was doing let's plays before there were let's plays, you know. I was
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Would
And
have been
I
a big,
actually
big thing now. Yeah.
yeah, I wish I would have kept my channel. I had a few thousand. Yeah, I was in the thousands of subscribers. I don't remember exactly how many. I want to say about 5,000 maybe. But I deleted my channel because I got out of the army and I was like, dude, I still had all my consoles, but I just didn't really. It was something I would do like on my off time, in the barracks and just play games and goof around. And then I just didn't think I would do it anymore. And I deleted my channel. And then like a year later, everyone's, they're paying money for views and stuff.
Oh yeah. Or like just how much money some of those streamers make is crazy.
I
It's hard to
know.
believe. I mean, I find that hard to believe. I
Yeah.
don't I don't consider myself that old.
Homely is asking what would you most like to see happen in the hobby?
What I'd most like to see happen. I'd like to see the Nerf nuke come out.
The nuke.
Have you seen that one before? The Think Geek, or is it Think Geek? I don't even know.
Is
The
that
the
I
Nerf
seen like a gif of like a bomb and a bunch of like is that it?
the Nerf. Yeah, that's it. That's the Nerf nuke. It was
Oh,
an
okay.
April Fool's joke many years ago, and it comes up every year, but now more frequently. Actually, I haven't seen it recently. That would be funny to actually have though, because that would be really fun. Um, okay, what would I actually like to see in the hobby? I would like to see. I could say who I'd like to see versus what I'd like to see. Because I like what I'm seeing right now. That's the truth of it. Just again having some of that experience of not seeing much online. I wasn't really watching Nerf Haven back then either. For those who were around for a bit, I dabbled in it a little bit, but I never posted. So
Mm.
seeing more stuff pop up online was kind of from a null, not really like from a Nerf Haven point. I do like a lot of what I see online so far. I guess, and it does seem like it's already happening, but I would like to see more invitationals, which, yeah, I've almost, committed to 4 this year so far, of events. So I think that's good. I like that I'm seeing that, and I like that that's more than I planned on last year already too.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that more people are organizing games and kind of inviting people from around the area, and that it's not as weird to go to those either. Like it's maybe weird if you're saying, "Hey," to a friend, "Yeah, I'm going to the East Coast to play Nerf this weekend." Like, what? It's like, no, you don't understand. I'm not alone. There are
Yeah,
hundreds of people doing this. So I like that that's becoming maybe, not for everyone, understandable. For a lot of people, like, that are planning these kinds of things, it's like, oh yeah, well, some of us are flying from even further, so it's all good. I like that that's becoming more of a thing.
absolutely. I really, really, really like that. Like people who are building things from the ground up, like Slaedur in
Hmm.
New Zealand, how he just did Quick Flag New Zealand. I'm actually, he's another person that I bring up to people who say, there's nothing in my area. There's no interest in this. And I'm like, well, look, this
Hmm.
guy, he had, he's in the same boat, had no interest in it, and he just did it. You know what I mean? He just went out and did it, got the sponsors to help and he built this game, which is really cool, part of BTA family now. And yeah, I just think that's really a good thing when people are just building their own, building their own small communities like that. And yeah, and that
Yeah,
just shows
it's awesome.
it's doable. A lot of people quit before they even start. They hear a couple no's like you can't play here, or
Hmm.
we're not gonna sponsor that, and they're like, oh well, it won't happen, but it can happen, if you
Yeah,
luckily I'm in
and it
an
also
area that's
allows
like a hub. I'm in a hub of freaking
exactly.
uh, they're everywhere around here, but
Oh yeah, but luckily for more things popping up, that allows a greater chance of you being able to go to an event, right? Like that means that someone in uh, who maybe they consider the middle of nowhere. Well, the more things that pop up, the greater the chance that you can go to one of those. So that's good. I think that's awesome.
absolutely, yep. So let's see, we had another question that I saw up here. Where was it? um Mickey James asked, what are the dual stage swordfish? Are you asking him what it is? Or
Hmm.
oh, tell us about the dual stage swordfish. Oh, you're working on one, right?
There's a video that will come out about the dual fish. We have to make sure that it's ready to go. But yes, I'm not sure. You haven't been to the boss games, have you?
I have not
Have you
yet.
been to any
No,
of those recently?
I don't have anything that fires very high FPS. Like not that. Like everything I have is maxed at BTA standards, which is 150.
Hmm. And usually neither do I. I do prefer to dabble in the lower powered stuff.
But
But
you're a lot faster than me, dude. You've seen me on the field. I don't move very quickly.
I try. Hey, without it, I wouldn't actually be able to have this series if I'd run that in a war. Um,
I'm a bit of a bigger target and slowly moving. Ask
and that's
Michelle. She's always tagging me.
and that's okay when you're on the other team. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
acceptable. But this is something that Kyle worked on. It is a very powerful blaster that I have some footage from that December game, and we have some. Yeah, we're gonna have a video on it. I think it's gonna be a commission blaster actually, which is why we're waiting. And it's a really cool thing though. It's great. Again, reviewing blasters. What happens when the day after you review something, your mind changes on it? Because my initial impressions of the swordfish are lower than the dominator, and with things like this, they've changed a little bit, and whatever. But it's a cool swordfish mod. It's a very
Yeah.
cool swordfish mod.
Cool, man. Um, So I've heard you say that you're not. You said you're not that great with electronic mods. I mean, I'm sure you're way better than me, but I have heard you say that. What was your first mod? Like you got into this hobby, you guys were playing, in middle school. When did you start learning that you
Yeah.
could get inside these blasters and make them fire harder and whatnot?
Well, I did mention the first thing I ever picked up was the Unity system, so that was the Titan, the Hornet, and the Scout, the red version. And so the first time I started trying to mod was when my Scout stopped working.
Mm.
And so I said, well, what would be the problem with opening it? So I opened it up and tried to fix it, and boy, did I break it hard. So that was great. And the Scout is reverse plunger. So I don't consider that necessarily like the biggest fail of my life because it was for someone who hadn't really opened up a blaster so much. It was a little weird. I could tell what was happening or what was not happening, but I did not fix it appropriately. So it was kind of out the door, and then it really was out the door, straight out the door into the trash can.
Mhm.
Um, but it made me a little more curious, and I think I then went with a night finder after that, because the other things I had then accumulated were a night finder and probably a Maverick, uh, various variants of the two. So I mean, the night finder, there were plenty of very simple mods out for the night finder, and back then the internals weren't solvent welded together, or at least just like glued together. So it was very easy to open the night finder and just drop the air restrictor out of it. Oh, look, I've modded something. I felt great. And then you can easily add a spring. And, the Night Finder is such an easy entry level mod blaster that gives you kind of like a lot of potential as well, which is why I usually recommend that one, or the Fire Strike, I suppose. But the Night Finder was very entry level friendly. So I'd say that one may have been my first successful attempt. It's true I don't dabble too much with the electronic stuff, and one is because like I said, I don't have as much of a space for it. Um, I'd want like an actual like, well ventilated area, which is why sometimes I can work on stuff out of Darts' place if I'm there, which I'm not there the whole time, or Walcoms or Chalos, but I'm not there the whole time, and
Dude,
so I usually don't do that.
I solder in a bedroom. I rent a room. It's Santa Clara County, San Jose. We rent rooms here. It's so expensive.
Nice and cheap, right? Yep.
Yeah, Boomtendo's seen my workspace. He slept on my floor during Ragnar Oktoberfest. But I rent a room and I mod everything on a coffee table in front of my TV, dude. I solder on there. I mod everything's done on that little coffee
I
table.
still I still open things on my bed.
Yeah,
It's like that sometimes, but
and
yeah,
I
it
and
is
I
what it is.
still lose parts, springs, and everything, and I get mad, and I still do it.
No, you're supposed to. That's part of it though. If you don't actually lose part of your springs or screws, then you're probably doing it wrong. I like that. One thing I'll always remember that Chelo says that his main blaster that people first knew him for, his Stampede Ire. He's like, yeah, I ran that thing with 5 screws in it for about a year, and it's a Stampede, like a modded Stampede. So you're like, oh boy. So yeah, I mean, we lose screws.
Yeah, yeah,
It
definitely.
happens.
So, what was your first electronic mod? Like, when did you start dabbling in like electronics?
Let me tell you about trust fires.
Oh yeah.
So I still, yeah, don't consider to have done too much with electronic stuff, but it probably was the Strife. And as I say that, I'm hesitant because I'm pretty sure the Raven came out first. Whoa, I don't remember.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of those two. It was very simple stuff though, just like taking out the original wiring and putting in some new wiring. And yeah, we ran it on trust fires. I still have those trust fires too. You hate me yet, internet? Go ahead. Considered making yours as well. Um, More like a PSA about almost like an anti-drug commercial, but it happens to feature trust fires. That's a video that's just been tabled for later. So yeah, I think it was probably the Raven. And the Strife was the elite line, but very very simple stuff, not complex. Or the barricade, honestly. 9-volt battery barricades. That's where it's at.
Oh
Woohoo!
wow.
Everyone loves those.
Yeah, I've heard about the old 9-volt mods, man. Those were pretty popular for the time.
So yeah, still not too much done there. But I mean, recently, I'm still working on my Jupiter pistol right now. I'd like to consider that I didn't finish that just because I was working on other stuff, but I would also consider, since I barely do any, rewiring or actual wiring, that my soldering skills were just so bad that it didn't finish itself. So, uh, anyhow, yeah. So don't feel bad about that because I'm not much better.
Oh,
It
okay.
feels great to be part of the modding community when you when you are a pretty lame modder. But I did put an XBZ inside of a saxophone, which is very very tough.
That is pretty cool, man. I mean, I thought that was really, really cool. I'm into weird things. We had another question here. It was a slice of Nerfy Aiden pizza. He's asking, so are you ever upset when you have the survey results and what you have to run? Like you really don't want to use it and you'd rather just have a normal war?
That is a very good question.
It is.
I'm
That is a
upset
good
right
one.
now because I'm upset with my current survey. Um, here's the funny thing about that. Um, that's the great part of doing the surveys is because not knowing what I might have to run is part of the fun of that. And sometimes you go in thinking, okay, yeah, this might be the winner. Or I design a question and I think of one blaster first, and I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, I guess I really just want to run that, huh? No, that's not fair. I need to actually put some other stuff on there that fits the category. And since it's almost over, I'll use current one for example. Like this first one was involving like using something that would work well in the dark. Now, what's a blaster that came out recently that might work well in the dark? The Shadow ICS
Oh
sucks
yeah.
because it sucks. It really is terrible. But I mean,
Boomco
in the
clip.
dark,
Boomco has the new glow in the dark clips and glow in the dark clips and glow in the dark darts.
that's true too. Um, I picked things that I already had right now for this case, but
Ah,
it was like, okay, this makes sense. I should use this shadow here, but let's throw on some other stuff that also has light up features as well.
mhm.
And then I also put on uh, the oh, I reviewed it. Oh no. The Busby God darn it. A Busby blaster that has the thermal tracker. That's what. It has a thermal tracker. It's called the thermal tracker.
Or the thermal
I
hunter,
will
right?
not be no, it's a thermal tracker.
Oh,
It's a different variant of it. Well, the thermal hunter was the first one that came out with that scope. Um I will not be using the Shadow ICS-6 on Friday because it is getting smoked right now. Spoiler alert. So sometimes it's like, oh, but I designed the question for this blaster. And that's when
yeah.
you're like, okay, but you fooled yourself, Brett. You can't expect to go into it and like say, oh, it's gonna have to be this. Now, in some cases, obviously, I could design a question that makes it very easy for that to happen, but that's not fair.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put on like say the evader for that too, but mine's modded, so it's not really fair for where I'm going. Um, so sometimes it's like, oh man, but then I'm like, eh, that'll still be fun, and that's kind of the assumption I have to go in with as well. I was considering just kind of having a similar format this year, where it was like I will run this in a war instead of people choosing. I just kind of have a highlight of three because I said this year that I'm trying to do it every other month instead of like every game that we have because it's a lot. If like every single game I have to have three different blasters, then yeah, if we don't have enough rounds, then that's all I get to use. So I considered maybe just spacing that out and then like do the highlights for the in-betweens. So that's
Oh yeah.
one kind of way I thought maybe I'll um, mix it up a little bit where it's still like, okay, these will be interesting loadouts. It's not like it's a boring thing. I'm still gonna, play hard and use it in a goofy way, but it's like this is something that I kind of wanted to highlight that maybe wouldn't really make sense with other questions because you'd either be like, I don't know what the heck that is, or yeah, obviously use that, which would make it unfair. So I think it's always fine. I've come to realize it's cool when you get surprised because there's a couple things this time where I got surprised, and that is fun. Um, that's why I like letting it kind of be up to other people to
Hmm.
decide what I use sometimes. And I'm glad people enjoy doing that because I am not betting money on these surveys anymore. No siree. Not, I mean, I wasn't betting money on them in the first place, right? No, it's never happening.
I really dig that kind of content, interactive stuff. I actually, I try and do more interactive things with the community and everything. It's fun to get the viewers involved as well. How did you come up
Yeah.
with? How did you come up with this idea of I would run that in the war and having the vote, having folks vote on that? Where did that come about?
So I sat on that one for a little bit of time, and it came about with, part of me being like, well, in my area, kind of got to be known for running the weird stuff. And again, a lot of that came from playing as the sax man with the sax BZ. It's like, oh, here comes Brett. He's in the sax man costume. Avoid him. Have you gotten tagged yet? Nope, nope. You better be on the same team as him. Be careful. And so I'd bring kind of some weird stuff to games and have fun with it. Some of that was on camera, some of it wasn't. But the sax BZ stuff was, and I realized that, again, with looking back at that year, kind of when it got near the end of 2017, I was like, that's really what I enjoy doing. And I'm obviously not the only one doing that. There are people all over the place that run weird stuff, and um, someone who does it way better than me too. I know has been doing it for ages. Is Brian Buff Daddy Nerf. He runs the weirdest stuff. Um, the guy who does Blaster Hub, and he I mean, he lives by Boomco a lot too. For it's like his go-to HVZ stuff, and he has various loadouts involving all of his 40-round clips. But he swears by the Rev Reaper. He brings the weirdest stuff out, and it's like all the time too. And he's also like me. He just runs super hard, plays hard, but I mean has a great time with it. And so I wanted to kind of keep that up, and I was realizing that what sucks, of course, as we mentioned before too, the gameplay footage is hit or miss for some people. Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
I've gotten comments on that recently from a video where people were like, I guess they never miss, and it's a TikTok reference. Oh, now it's stuck in my head.
No,
Anyhow,
I don't
moving
want to know
swiftly
anything
along.
about TikTok. I'm
You
sick
don't
of the
want to know it? No,
commercials.
no, no, no. So it's I was just realizing that of course the people want to watch gameplay footage, and then there's a majority that doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
Um, but I was thinking like, okay, so maybe because some of my stuff was still kind of half and half at the time. Like, oh, I have gameplay footage, and then I have other stuff that I started doing. I don't know what people really if people like the gameplay footage that much, but they like seeing me run around with the silly stuff, and that's what I enjoy doing too. So maybe I'll keep doing that. And I got to thinking, well, what if how else would like why would people care more? Well, maybe if they actually had a say in it.
Yeah.
I guess I we could make let's see. It would be fun if people voted on stuff. I could do it. Doesn't sound too hard. And so I just kind of came up with this idea like what if for certain games I like put out a question and they could choose a blaster. And I was like, well, I could do different categories. Three's a nice number for that too. And just kind of popped into my brain one day at work because I was working hard. And I thought, no, this is good. I like this. And so that's kind of just where it spawned from. I thought, let's see if people want to do this, and if it works, it'll work, and I'll keep doing it because if the people who want to watch the gameplay footage are going to watch the gameplay footage, at least I can give them the added benefit too of like, oh, here you get to choose, you can have some options too. And this is also coming from like I have a lot of stuff, and knowing that I'm around so many other people too, we have a lot of stuff. So sometimes what's on the list is like, hey, can I borrow this from you, Luke? Hey, thanks, man, you're the
Yeah.
best. So like send him a text beforehand, like, hey, I'm going to include this on a survey. Do you mind if I maybe just kind of have that in my back pocket for
Mhm.
the game day? It's like, yeah, sure thing. Oh, good, because it's probably going to win. Thanks, man. So yeah, just
And
kind of popped into my head one day, and I was like, this might be a good way to kind of reward the people who really do enjoy the gameplay footage. But again, I just had to happen to be in the unique opportunity where I had the options to use so much stuff. So I was like, well, then let's play with that. Let's give people an option since I have so much stuff and I love using a lot of stuff. Let's get it out there.
right on, man.
Was it 15-minute answer? Yeah, it's good.
We got another question. I missed it because they didn't put at broke nerfing. You guys got to put at broke nerfing if you want to get my attention. But it was Scott JS asked, "What is your thoughts on the
Hey,
struggle
Scott.
for?" He was saying, "What is your thoughts on the struggle for Nerf gameplay channels to get some attention on YouTube?" That's really good for what you were
Yeah,
saying.
and
Real
hopefully,
gameplay, not scripted.
and hopefully we touched on that a little bit in some of those previous answers too. And Scott is actually Scott's an original, viewer from my channel. He's been watching. I know this. He's one of the guys that was watching my earlier gameplay footage. So I totally understand why he asked that question. He does his own as well. Yeah, no, it's not fair. And I've had talks with Jangular about this before. Um, Not so much make test battle. I know they had a stream once where they talked to like Jangular and Aldos about streaming or Nerf gameplay stuff. I was only a little upset that I wasn't included in that one, but I guess I wasn't cool enough back then. It was only February of last year. Come on, guys. But it was interesting to hear some perspective on that. And yeah, I've still talked to Jangular about that, and I still see like in some of the discords I'm a part of now that other people they realize like, oh wait, there's competitive Nerf. Like, wait, you guys have other stuff too? Or I've gotten comments where I like Brett what you do because you're the only one who does Nerf gameplay, and I'm like, holy crap! Like,
Yeah,
it's weird. It is really weird, and when you see stuff like that, you find it almost hard to believe that. Whoa, wait, I guess you guys aren't ignorant. Just it sometimes just doesn't show up, and and from that angle, I don't know why. But it is really discouraging because knowing how much work can go into editing gameplay, I have my kind of style, which I keep it simple. I edit all my movies in iMovie, so I don't really use that much crazy software. But you've got people with their heads-up displays and all their little sounds and hit markers, and that's not a short video to edit, especially if you're putting out a really long piece.
no, it
So
isn't.
I feel for the people who want to do that more. And again, as we mentioned before, like you see the people doing the airsoft stuff and how popular it is. So you wonder like, well, not just because we want to see, um, we want Nerf to be popular, but we know that people are interested. So why does that not happen in the same way? And I guess people just don't go into that viewing it the same versus scripted. It is hard to understand, and maybe just because the scripted stuff is more established.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why. That's more established things can get viewed more initially and spread more. It's really hard to know why. And the only Nerf stuff you'll see that kind of breaks the mold of that gameplay stuff is from people who have other established channels, or they do other kinds of like Nerf, or they do airsoft gameplay and then they switch to Nerf once, and it's like, oh, interesting. Or people are like, this is the lamest thing I've ever seen, and you're like, hey, thanks, man. we appreciate your viewership.
yeah,
So I don't know, and it's a shame because Make Test Battle was kind of the closest to cracking that with their channel. I think just because of how big they were finally actually able to get over some of those humps, but not anymore. So I don't know. I think original point, it is unfortunate and it's annoying that for people who really do enjoy gameplay stuff, because every game that you get to play or someone else gets to play is unique and that's why it's so cool to be able to watch someone else play in somewhere that you may never go or you've never heard of. And then, the ability to share that now has never been easier, but it's hard to catch on for a lot of people. And in some cases, I understand for just like time's sake. Sometimes it's just hard to watch that much gameplay footage.
Yeah, some of the videos
Some
are
people,
quite long.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that too, because sometimes I get discouraged watching a video if I see it's over like 10 minutes. And I mean, all my videos are usually over 10 minutes, but some of them, I mean, sometimes I'm not, I just want to watch something quick, because I'm maybe on the train or something. And I don't have the, I'm not able to watch something that long, but yeah, so I
Yeah.
can understand the long videos being skipped over by people.
Yeah. But even, you go to some of these End War recap videos, they're, rivaling 20 minutes, but they've got a lot of really interesting information in them, and just like the radio chatter communication, the drone footage from up above. I
Oh,
mean, you get to
absolutely.
relive the whole thing right there, and some of those actually do take off, which is good. But yeah, I do wish that in the grand scheme of staged being way more popular than unstaged, I wish there was a little less of a divide, and that we could see some similar respect for the two. But I understand why, and maybe. Oh, I'm actually reading stuff for once. I'd watch more if I didn't get motion sick. Oh, Nerf, yeah, that's a good point too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just because of the creative control you have when it's staged is very different than in the moment. And I'm not going to pretend like that's not the case for me. Like my Hero 5 session does a decent job of stabilizing, but my head's still on a swivel. Like, I completely understand if people get motion sick from how I play, because that's how I play. And technology's out there, but it is hard. It is
Yeah.
hard to make it watchable for everyone, because there's always going to be that one person who's like, "Dude, I can't watch this. Dizzy. Bye."
It's hard when you're broke too, man, because coming into all that, coming into these nice cameras is a bit difficult.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're not cheap. They are not cheap. That's why I'm glad mine's still kicking. Um. So yeah, it is a hard egg to crack.
Yeah.
We're working on it though. Maybe
There you
one day.
go. So, what's your local community like? Your local Nerf community?
A goofy group of nuts. We are Pacific Northwest Nerf Club. It's either pronounced Pank or Panic. I
Nice.
should
That sounds
know
pretty
because
cool.
it's technically my club. Um, so that's why I'm also slightly busy, because I'm supposed to be in charge of that. Um, which is really definitely, it creates a conflict of interest when I go to a game and I'm like running it, but I'm also like, I want to film this on the side. Oh wait, no, I should probably put this together. Oh wait, I should probably play. Oh.
Yeah.
Ah. So it's a lot. But we're a good group. We just I want to bring up to like the Bay Area scene, because when you guys have events, it's very very much split into groups, right? Like, you have the higher FPS games, you have the more kid oriented games.
Hmm.
It's the game itself is usually centered around an FPS cap or an age range, right? And our stuff is kind of everything, because we're not big enough yet to have multiple groups really in the area. Our attendance is, maybe we'll get 20 to 40 people per game, which is great for our location, which is why I'm not complaining about it. Because if we got more people in our spot, it might just be too much in our Fort Borst. So I'm happy with that kind of turnout. Like, 40 is plenty.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, we'll have families that show up. We'll have, um, people like me who show up. We'll have old school folks who sometimes show up too. And the way we advertise our stuff is, like, I'll put out a schedule of intended games that we'll get to. And some of those are like, we're going to try and hit a stock round. We're going to try and hit a higher FPS round. Like, this is going to be like skirting 200 maybe. And this one's like, we try and keep the most of them at just super stock, like, 150 max, to kind of incorporate a majority of things. So it's a tricky. tricky thing to balance there. And we have had some folks who try and organize maybe just their own high cap games, and I think maybe one of those actually happened last year and it went well. So it is a challenge. And also since we don't have we have a one location mainly, and then we have some other kind of spots that we visit, and we're still trying to nail in some indoor spots for the season like now. But it's good. We have a good group of people who are regulars, and the general tone of everyone is kind of fun loving and just people who are fine like to play with stuff that might not be so great. Like we have a guy with a massive foam finger that he'll run around and try and poke people, which is good. Like is that practical when you're running at someone with a Jupiter pistol? No, it's not. But it's going to be fun, and if you miss, well, he's gonna, dare I say, he's going to finger you. So
Yeah.
there's some good high energy like that we bring, and people like Captain Xavier are good at promoting that too. Like, I'm just gonna run this, I don't care, because he's just there to have fun as well. And so a lot of our mentality is just like, hey, we keep our games with fast respawns and simple game objectives for the most part. You can just play, you can have a good time. That's the point. New folks, here, you can borrow this, just go out there, have fun. It's not going to matter. You get tagged out, it's fine. Just go back there and come back in. So it's, I think that's why the team that we sent down for Ragnarok for the 5v5 was so unprepared for that level of competitiveness, because we really don't have that kind of competition edge to us, besides Luke and myself, who have, again, we've been in the Bay Area before and we have more experience there. So these other folks were not ready for it. Maybe one day.
Yeah, I was noticing like some of the people who were talking before getting on the field, I could tell that they had never done it competitively, and it was kind of funny hearing the way they perceived it, like they were just going to wreck shop on the field. And then you see like halfway through the round, these guys are like winded and they're just,
guys, I've got half a magazine left. Yeah. I knew our guys were going to get wiped, and I was happy because I knew that they would learn a lot from that in a sick way.
Yeah, BTA was my very first actual Nerf war any blaster. I never played before that, but Pastor Isaac Schuler here at the church, he brought me onto his team, and so going into the BTA, that was my first experience in any kind of war, right? Man,
I can see how that would be a tricky thing to do.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. So I definitely appreciate the slower, paced games too. But I still like BTA a lot. We have a good team going. We have our own thing where I kind of am their defense. I call out positions and whatnot. We meshed pretty well together.
Yeah.
I think we made third place in the team, in the standings. But yeah. So, but yeah, I felt just like them, And
I like having that diversity too. It's just like, for the most part, we do the fun stuff up here. Like, our games are not super competitive, right? And that's okay. We have some folks who might be a little more interested in it, which is cool, but we don't put a huge emphasis on it, which is why maybe some people aren't as prepared. But that's okay. And maybe we'll see it change when we get some more space to practice out on. But I like being able to do both as well, because I do like playing those competitive games when I get a chance. It is a good change of pace, and I like playing. That boss game was the first time I actually played higher power in December, like 250. I've never really played those kinds of levels before. I'm usually just down at super stock, because that's what we usually do, and that's fine.
So I just got like a couple more questions for you, man.
Yeah. Hopefully I haven't been ignoring all these any questions in here as we talk to each other.
No,
I'm sorry.
There's people here? I didn't even know. I thought we were just having a conversation.
That's
no, I haven't missed anyone. But the last ones are just going to be my own here. And you've already spoke on about how you felt the community was. What are some of the negative aspects you see in the Nerf community right now, online community, or in general?
Some negative stuff.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of touch on, like, I think that I dare say I do a lot of work to kind of show that Nerf is fun, right? That's kind of the goal of my channel, right? That's the goal of me. It's not like I'm pretending or anything. Like this is why I love Nerf. This is why I've been doing it for 10 plus years, and that's why every year it seems to get more fun and just more enjoyable to do with other people and meet new people from around the world and share that enjoyment. But with that, of course, comes the fact that for the most part you don't take it too seriously. And one of my favorite quotes is from a guy up in Bellingham, Washington. He is oh Evan, shoot, I just forgot his channel name. He does a lot of thrifting videos. um, Drat, I feel bad. Point is, when he would do some thrifting hauls before, he would usually end it by saying, "You can be serious about Nerf, but don't take Nerf too seriously." And that is so true because, I'm serious about Nerf. Like, I have a lot of stuff. I've invested a lot of money. I've invested time. I've invested space, resources like that. I've met new people, and that is, can be emotionally draining too. And, you know, that is very true. But taking it too seriously is then going a different direction. And I see some people who do take it too seriously. And my
Yeah.
least favorite thing about that side is to the point of only seeing it as a, kind of grasping for those number games and losing out on the fun and like kind of the original audience too. Because when I see people kind of posting about like, oh, well, you got to get these like end all FPS ranges or FPS numbers and get the good ranges and, you know, make sure that you can actually play hard against other people and do really well in games. The people who are really, really dialed in to one specific thing, um, and they're just they're so focused on that.
Homely said it's
Oh,
Pontatas.
potatoes. Sorry, yes, that's it.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Gosh, I was at work today. I'm gonna plead that. That's why I'm forgetting things. But the people who just get so wrapped up and obsessed with those specific things, like maybe they're just working on a specific build and they need this to work and they need it to hit exactly what they think it should hit, and when it doesn't, it's like, oh, this hobby is trash. Like, I can't believe, why are you having fun? Like, ugh. And I've seen
Mm-hmm.
that before, and it's like you completely lose the original focus of all this. You lose the passion. You lose the fact that yes, this is designed for kids. So when you're then saying also like, hey, I I think we should only have HVZs that are designed like at higher FPS caps. It's like, well, hang on. We're also not trying to hurt people necessarily. This is still Nerf. Like, you can go and play something else
Yeah.
if you're looking for like real intense stuff. Necessarily, like
Mm-hmm.
we can still have competitive things, but you don't have to take it that seriously. Like, you still lose and you can still have fun. And it's the people who don't really see that as something I consider unfortunate because your head's not in the right space if that is the case. And I've seen other people too who have left because they're like, you know what? I think where things are going right now, I need a 3D printer to stay relevant, and I don't have a 3D printer, so I can't keep up with any of these new mods. I think I'm gonna have to leave Nerf because it's not fun anymore. And that's like, well, I don't think you were in the right headspace then this whole time because you don't need a 3D print. I know a lot of people make 3D printed stuff now, and it is convenient to 3D print stuff if you have a 3D printer. But just leaving because you can't like kind of be on the cutting edge development team is not, I don't think, what people come into necessarily for fun.
Right.
So I've seen examples of that before, and it's like, no, I think you need to take a break for a different reason because you're not having fun with this, as most people would want you to have fun. You're
Yeah.
lying, you're lying to yourself about that, and it's okay if you don't want to do that. that's fine. Like, you be honest. Like, I'm interested in other stuff. But people who kind of keep themselves in and are not like kind of honest to themselves about why they're maybe doing Nerf for that reason, it's like, nah, it's okay. Like, you want to do some other stuff, that's fine. But don't lie and say it's for something else. So
Right.
that's one thing I think is it's not something necessarily that's bad for me. I mean, if it starts affecting me, that is bad. But I think it's unfortunate for those people because it's like, no, you're looking at it all wrong, and that's why we love it. And so if you're
Yeah.
not seeing it in that way, bummer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're right. It should be. You should be having fun. Definitely. If you're gonna be, getting into this hobby, if you're gonna be playing, you're gonna be modding. You should be having a good time doing it. Especially even if you're gonna be making videos on YouTube, you should be having a good time doing it as well. I see a lot of people getting upset. Their videos aren't getting the views they want. They're not getting the subscribers they want. And they're really getting pissed off over it. But I'm like,
Hmm.
it should be fun. You shouldn't be doing this, because you want to, you want to reach a certain height. You should be doing it because you're enjoying it. So, I mean, it's good to
Yeah,
have goals, but I mean, don't let it, don't let it
absolutely.
affect you because you're not getting your views and your videos aren't being watched and yeah. So people can get
No,
upset when you come into the hobby and you come into YouTube kind of new and you surpass them like kind of quickly. They kind of resent you. I've noticed.
I wonder if you're talking from example or. And I'm not going to pretend like I haven't been there too, because yeah, I've experienced some growth last year, which was obviously like great.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still was like, it didn't change the way I want. Like I just started doing more stuff because I was like, oh, okay, I'm invested in this, and I see like it's people are engaged with it, which is good. So I'm gonna keep doing that for that
Mm-hmm.
reason. But I'm also, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and sometimes I'll still go back and maybe I'll get a comment on a video and I'll go back to that and I'll actually just start watching my own video. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with how this came out. I like
Yeah.
that tag. That was a good tag. I'm glad I
Mm-hmm.
did that way. And so yeah, I'm like, I still enjoy what I'm doing. And if you can't enjoy, yeah, if you're like someone who's trying to make videos and you can't enjoy what you're putting out too, then that's also no good. I know some people criticize it too from the people who see it as just like uh, a YouTube thing, because some people, yeah, they do try and just do the YouTube thing, and other folks are like, yeah, I can't stand those people because they're completely in this for trying to get views or famous and popularity contest, blah 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 blah, and that makes them sour, and it also turns the water sour. And I don't know what to say to that other than just we're all in this for fun. Don't take it too seriously again. It's
Yeah.
not much beyond that. I mean, it's a good quote because it's a good quote.
Exactly. And my
Um,
and, and my last question is basically what is some advice you would give to someone new in the hobby just getting in? What would your advice be to them?
well, in the mod community stuff, I would definitely recommend um, before before asking questions, because one very interesting thing, and why we also sometimes seem to run into these clashes of words on the internet. Um, because I mean, you probably know, like our videos, we do rely on the comments, right? Like we actually enjoy reading our comments and learning from them and interacting with people we may never get to meet, which is very different than a traditional YouTube kind of comment section for maybe some big videos you think of, right? Because there are other times you don't want to read the comments, but for Nerf videos, we generally do. We do enjoy reading our comments, and it's something we actually um, will actively do for others as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we'll give comments like funny things or helpful things. Or I know Captain Xavier reads way too many comments. Like, I can't believe how much he responds to
Yeah,
some
he
of his
does.
stuff. So it's crazy. Um, but with that too, a comment on YouTube is one way you can kind of be a little more kind of secretive in like who you are. But you can ask a question. But I mean, obviously, again, that's YouTube asking questions. For Nerf, maybe it's a little more inviting. For other places, not so much. But before asking questions, if you're new, I'd say just kind of look first before you start asking, because as much as we like to pride ourselves on being welcoming, there are people who will completely roast you in certain areas if you ask certain questions. And you may not know those are the groups where it'll happen because you're new.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate. But there's not really going to be a warning label on, hey, by the way, if you're a new person, you will get roasted for asking these specific questions. So we can't really prepare people for that. But that's just what happens in some areas. And, there are thousands of people in these groups sometimes. So can't really control everyone until it's too late. So I definitely recommend looking more and just kind of researching more before asking questions. And if you join up in certain groups, it's not a problem just to lurk for a little bit and see what other people are talking about. You don't have to kind of be vocal immediately. It helps to kind of store some knowledge up first and realize like, oh, I have this thing. Oh, that's 5 years old. Oh, interesting. Okay, I don't see this popping up at all. So before asking, hey guys, can I upgrade my Maverick at all? Like, okay, that's more than 5 years old, but so looking more before asking questions like that may save you an unpleasant interaction, which we don't wish that upon people, but it happens because we are human.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely something I'd recommend first before asking all the questions. But even if they're intelligent questions, an intelligent question asked in the wrong area will be met with harsh words
Yeah,
sometimes.
with unintelligent bickering.
Yes, and because there are so many other places out there too that have helpful advice, and it's like you'll find mod guides on this thing, this thing, this thing, and you're like, oh wait, actually that's way old, and then you'll find like reviews on new blasters and stuff, and I guess a lot of people who get into it on the newer side, they probably have the new stuff, right? So that's what they come in curious about. So I guess maybe, yeah, when they start at the reviews, that's a good way. But I don't know. For the mod community, it's hard to know what the proper way to enter is besides, yeah, and I feel just, looking more before asking.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like to watch.
yeah. I can't imagine if I was entering now. Like if I put myself in my younger self's shoes, for one, I'd be like, dude, why are you on YouTube? That's scary. Um, but I'm imagining if I just kind of like stopped when I got into high school, because that's what normal people do, right? Like they stop playing with Nerf um, after they're like a teenager or something, because Nerf's not cool after you're a teenager. It's pretty lame. Airsoft is better, or paintball. So if I'd taken hello, if
I
I'd taken if I'd taken a break, I imagine like after middle school and just got back into it, say like the beginning of this year, I don't even know where I would start. I mean, I,
yeah.
I imagine then, given my own advice, I'd try and just start looking things up, probably like watching YouTube videos. Maybe pick up, I'd probably pick up on some of those bigger channels first, right? And then hopefully it would start just trickling down and you'd find those community servers and other places to stay connected. And hopefully that would lead to like, oh, I can find a game in my area if I want to play and learn
Mm,
more. And so maybe for the people who also they want to go to games and play, come with an open mind. Um, and to the people who are going to be at those games, it's more important than ever to just be like accepting. Like the person shows up with a Maverick, don't walk over and say like, "So you're one of those people, huh?" Just kind of be informative, tell them kind of what's what, because obviously it's a wealth of information, and ask like, "So do you want to use my lipode dominator? What's a dominator? Oh, it's from Worker. What's Worker?
with worker.
Um, because it's a rabbit hole of information.
It is. Yeah. It was a lot soaking it all in, man. But watching a lot of videos. I didn't even go on the forums, not until like I had
Hmm.
already been dabbling a lot. But yeah, I just watched video after video after video because I was intrigued, so it was fun to watch all these videos.
And again, now more than ever, there's so many sublines. There's so many different companies too. It's not just Nerf that's got the big name out there for a lot of these toy blasters.
Hmm.
And there's then you start seeing the mods show up, and that is a completely different can of worms that
Yeah.
goes into everything. Because then you're like, wait, did you see that really big Nerf gun that shot like the really big Nerf darts? And you're like, that is a well, it's a mod. How do I explain that? It's not really a modded blaster though. The
Yeah.
world's biggest Nerf guns. Here's a modded blaster.
Hmm.
It's funny.
Right
Yeah,
on.
I do feel for the people who get into it now, and I'm sure we'll see more people as the new lines come out this year with like Overwatch and Fortnite.
Oh
And
yeah.
I hope people are respectful when some of those folks join in, because young people are the future of the hobby still, and they're the ones who we want to keep playing. We encourage them to get outside and play more,
Yeah.
then everyone wins. So I hope that people have an open mind when folks like that start popping up, and maybe they can learn a few things and also just benefit everyone in general.
Absolutely, man. That's good advice. Well, that's the end of my questions, man. Is there anything you wanted to say before you go?
Gosh, I don't know. Just kind of scrolling up. I have the chat open and I never actually read things except like once. I'm just checking back to see. Yeah, I mean, a lot of goals for this year, I'm sure. Do you have any goals for this year then, 2019?
Do I?
Do you? Yeah, I'm interviewing you now.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I do kind of have some goals. I want to start learning how to do integrations and painting. I haven't done any, since I just got into this hobby last year, like February and March, pretty much March. Um,
Mhm. It's like a
so I'm
1 year anniversary almost.
almost, yeah, right. And I got into YouTube in April, March, and then I started YouTube in April. So I started. I was just having so much fun, and I wanted to show other people, like, because it was helping me a lot with my mental health issues, my depression, my anxiety, insomnia, all this stuff. It was
Yeah.
helping me. So I
And
wanted.
I think that's a great story too. I really like hearing about those examples, because those are like those are like the real good, um, not just feel good stories, but it's like I'm glad that this is like actually having an impact on people in
Yeah,
such a positive way.
yeah. That's kind of why I started doing the old Behind the Blaster series, where I have people send me like a 5-minute video of them talking about why they got into it and everything, what it does for them. So
Hmm.
I really enjoy hearing people's stories and how it does help them, and I think that's something that would help other people want to get into this as well and kind of benefit from a new hobby that's not like as lame as like quilting or something. Well, I'm sure quilting is pretty hardcore if you get into, I'm sure it's pretty tough. But this is really a
Not
cool
easy.
hobby. Everyone, especially males, they like shooting things, and I mean, a lot of girls do too. A lot of females are really into it. Making things shoot further, making them look cool, painting them up, and So I think it's a really helpful hobby, and it's unique. It's a really unique hobby to get into. So
Yeah, it definitely it ticks a lot of boxes for potential of like, oh, you can be creative, you can be active, um, you can be humorous sometimes. Sometimes we're bright. I
yeah, yeah.
Chris Cartea was asking what I did for a living. I don't know if he's still on. I'm a mechanical engineer. That might pique your interest, but trust me, I'm not actually that smart.
And he
Don't
also
be
asked like
deceived.
your favorite movie, I believe too.
Oh shoot. Oh, that's a hard one though. I
I
went through
don't
a
I
phase where
don't
I
have
just yeah, I went through a phase where I just watched a bunch of 80s action movies and I was really happy. But
nice. Bruce
I will be
Willis, Bruce Willis, my favorite action star.
I'm a sucker for some dumb action. Uh, but I mean, modern stuff is also interesting. Not as
Yeah.
much for the I'm not a big anime person.
Me neither.
so much, but there's some things that interest me, but I definitely grew up more with like, I mean, I'm I'm still a Star Wars guy. The prequels were fine when I was a kid because I was a kid, and they definitely riled me up. So I'm always interested in the Star Wars stuff. But yeah, I'm big for watching things.
Right on. Well, that's about it, man. I'm gonna, we've already It's already been almost gonna get close to 2 hours
2
here,
hours.
brother. Yeah, I told you it goes quick, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just talking, rambling. This is why I cut a bunch of stuff out of my own videos.
Oh,
I
so do
try to
I.
make them short.
So do I, brother. Oh man, and it's funny because there's a lot of like missteps and goofs that I put in the videos, but there's a lot that I don't. So there's a lot of stuff
My
that stays.
the This Week in Nerf that Phone Blast is doing, episode 2. I had a cameo in that one. It was literally just talking about the FDL noses and tails. It was a 2-minute bit. It took me an hour to film that. And I'm not kidding. It was bad. I was like, I know I'm not ever on my game, but I was really off my game.
Ah,
So I guess that's one thing to put out there for people too. Don't worry if it doesn't seem to work out for you, because some people they just nail it immediately. Like if you're, I know this is the case for Drac. He just goes outside, talks about a blaster, and he's done. He's very
yeah,
good at that.
seems like it. Yeah,
Same with Captain Xavier. He is very good at just kind of hitting all the boxes in his head. Walcom is pretty much like he might take a second to think about it, but he's also very good at getting exactly what he wants to say down. And so when you're watching people like that, and you're just like, good lord, crap. So it's discouraging, but also like, okay, find your own style. You don't have to be like them. Or you see Jangular do one take for This Week in Nerf, and you're like, not good. How do I do that? He's amazing. He's a god.
yeah.
Ah,
Well, all
side
right.
tangents.
I want to thank you for coming on, man. I know it was kind of hard scheduling you to be here because of your work, and we both have events this Friday, Nerf things going on. But
I'm
thank you.
happy to get something in for this month. It'll be good. I'm excited. Yeah, and your Nerf nights seem like they're fun. Hopefully I can see some maybe footage from those if anyone records stuff. I haven't I've actually seen anything from them before.
I usually stream them, but the streaming quality is very poor. But I've gotten better stuff now, so I will get some footage on it, man. Yeah, I'll be wearing my new GoPro that the Multimedia Company in the chat here was kind enough to donate to the channel, so I'll be getting some footage in
Nice. And we I mean, I
when I
also
edit it.
exactly. Oh, I've still got End War footage. So don't worry. Dang. It's always fun to hand out your camera to someone else too, and then,
Yeah,
like, get a
I've
different
done that.
perspective.
I've done that. Yeah. Well, all right, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. And have a wonderful night.
Likewise. Farewell, everyone.
And good morrow.
Or day. I don't know what time it is for people.
Depends on what country. Let's see, where the heck? I'm trying to end this call. All right, brother. Talk to you later. So thank you, everybody who was here in the stream. Let me take my cans off. That's studio talk for you guys who aren't in the biz. I don't know. But thank you guys for hanging in here and watching. And even the guys who were in the stream like 30 minutes before I was chatting with some of you guys. There was like 5 people just chilling in the chat before the stream went live. But thank you so much. I'm sure everybody in the chat knows who Beret is already. But if you do not know Beret and you haven't seen his content, there is a link in the description of this video here. There's a link below. Check it out. He has a lot of unique content that I really appreciate. Because I know there's a lot of unique channels, but a lot of the channels in our hobby, they do the same format, and I'm guilty of it, running the same format of reviews. You review something, you show the box, you show what comes with it, You know, you go out and you do a fire demo and then you give a final thoughts. Things like I do those as well, man. You know, and it's like just that's like seems just to be how they go. And a lot of the channels just do the same reviews. And there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone, you know, you can do different perspectives. But it's nice to see a channel that is doing something truly unique. And Beret is doing something that is truly unique. I haven't seen any other, you know, any other content like his where he does the wiki how, where he goes and looks at how, you know, the wiki how articles that are showing how to mod and how to do different things and involving the hobby. And it's pretty hilarious, some of the stuff that he sees, because it's like seems way off, you know, or it's really dated. But yeah, so those are really good. And What Should I Run is a really good series too. And also Show the Mods. He does like, you know, he does something where he gets modded blasters, pictures and stuff from the community, and he kind of shows them on his channel, or else he'll have other people on a panel all looking at the mods too and giving their perspective. So it's really cool stuff. So definitely check him out. But I believe a lot of you already know who he is and have been watching him for far longer than you've been watching me. But yeah, thank you so much, Beret, for being here. Oh, thank you, NerfTurfBattle. Appreciate it. So yeah, if you guys do enjoy what I'm doing and you want to help out the channel, I do have Patreon. You could get shout outs, like I shouted out the tier 3 patrons in the beginning of the stream. They get those shout outs multiple times a month. So you guys could help on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, or whatever you feel like helping with. And you know, there's different tiers that I have. So you just go to Patreon. It's in the About section of my channel, and it's actually in the description of this video as well. So my Patreon's there. And if you don't want to do Patreon, I know you have to sign up for it. If you don't want to sign up, I do have PayPal as well. And my PayPal is in the description. And if you do help me out through PayPal, I will give you all the same benefits that I do give the Patreon folks. So you will get those as well. And if you can't help monetarily, but you still want to help support my channel, just like the channel. Remember to like the smash button, like that smash button, and make sure you're subscribed. Leave comments and share it with your friends, you know, or share it on your social media if you want to. You know, it helps out. Share it on Discord. I mean, I always share it, but then I just look like I'm a narcissist, you know, shoving my own stuff down everywhere. You know, hey, check this out, guys. So yeah, so share it around if you guys would like to help support. I do appreciate it. All the moderators in the chat, everybody who's here, who comes to all the streams, or if you're here for the first time, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, is there anything else? Oh, Luchathor, thank you, my friend. He sent me the Raven today. Thank you. That was really cool. Boomtendo, American Foam, Chris Cartea. I'm sorry for Kyle. I apologize. We're going to have to get a support group going for victims of Kyle. NorCal Nerf Club, thank you. Beret, thank you again. OC Nerf. Tungsten EXE, thank you. Big Cousin Steve. Ooh, ooh. Antone Covia. Right Wing Daddy, thank you. I know you got timed out again, but but thank you for stopping by anyways. Multimedia Company, always thank you so much. Who else was here? Homely, I think I said you. Ryan Ingolstad, I believe, was here too. Cooking and Crafts Channel, NorCal Nerf Club. Rigel Star was here. Pickle Nerf. Tisha Key, I love you. Thank you so much. Slaedur was here. Scott JS. Zach Kostechka. Thank you. I think, oh, Mickey James was here too. I'm trying to hit everybody. Make sure you're supporting each other. And Action Kids Club, what's up? Thank you for stopping by. We're about to end, dude. We're ending now, brother. Hey, DBN, what's up? Deceptive Box, thank you. Yeah, Tisha's my Alice, brother. So thank you guys all. And follow me on social media. Go to my Facebook, guys. I just hit 200 likes on Facebook. Woo! So hit me up on Facebook. That's also in the description of this video. And my Instagram is in there too. Right on, guys. Appreciate it. I'm going to go take some cold medicine because I feel awful. Oh, and the winner of the $500 giveaway, tonight's $500 giveaway winner goes by the name